getting ready. Okay, here we are. Running a little late this morning. Had to get some food ready and make myself a hot chocolate this morning. Just need something to drink, something to eat while I do this. That's good stuff. So, I don't have a whole lot to talk about. Not really prepared for anything today. Just thought we'd talk about construction life in general and what it's like to be in construction, how it can be rewarding or how it could be a pain in the ass, why people actually become construction workers. So, if any of you guys that are on stream just got any questions about construction life in general, just let me know and I'll do my best to answer the questions. So I got a couple of things I'm going to work on setting up here. I got to put a couple of things into chat that I wasn't prepared for yet. But good morning, everybody. Oh, let me see. So you guys know that I've talked about that app, Sircles. And they've, so I'll throw up a link to it just like I do on the regular. We'll pin this. Alright, so that's a link to my chat and Sircles app. And they quit funding on it. They closed the funding rounds anyway. So if you guys wanted to get buy some stock in them, you can't anymore. They're closed. And they got some cool things coming up, but just one of the cool things that I actually used it for in construction, for a construction purpose, was I needed to find a place to what was I doing? I was looking for a place to go get some parts or something like that, some recommendations, and I jumped on the app, looked for what I was doing, and looking for the parts I was looking for, and looked up shop names and stuff like that, and found one shop that was in my area and headed over there, and they were cool. Everything was just as they said, so I went ahead and I put my own recommendation in on the app, and bing bang, I was only the second person to recommend the shop. And that's what that app is for finding places that are off the beaten path. It's not one of the big box store places. It's those hole-in-the-wall mom-and-pop shops that you can go get stuff done relatively quick and sometimes cheaper. So who's in here watching? I see I got two people watching. I think that one of them might be myself. So I don't know who's in here with me, but I'll just keep talking, I guess. So idea was construction life. What do we got for construction life? It's just, it's what we do. We get up early in the morning. Go to the job, like right now. So I'll give you an example of my job. I'm currently working over an hour from home. So we have a 6 a.m. start. I'm leaving the house by 4:40. Get to the job 5:40. 20 minutes before work starts. If I'm lucky, I get to stop and get some food and coffee or whatever. I don't drink coffee. I drink hot chocolate. But maybe catch 5-10 minutes of snooze time, or get out of the truck and go chat with all the guys while we're standing around the crew truck. Just getting things. We talk about what we did either over the weekend or just general BSing. So that's always fun stuff. That's how you build some camaraderie with the crew, and it's just sound is shit. Sound is off. Sound is on. So I've been talking to myself. Sound is on there. Okay. And that's why no one was watching. Or everybody left. So, okay, so talking about life in general as a construction worker, I guess that's the theme of this episode. Good morning, welcome in. I'll have to edit out that first minute or two of this video since I wasn't talking on it again. I keep forgetting to get that microphone working. I thought I did, but apparently not. So, hello, good morning, salutations. Life as a construction worker. You love it or you hate it. Get guys, run into guys that actually love the construction trade and enjoy being in it, like myself. You got other guys that were kind of forced into it because of life situations, didn't go to school or just not that bright and didn't see another path, so they were kind of forced into it through a family member that was in it, and they were expected to join the union. But I don't know. That's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. But if you enjoy outdoors and working with your hands and actually seeing something at the end of the day that you've done, which is cool. So. Trying to see if I had any cool pictures or anything. So, yeah, end of the day, cool pictures, you get to see things. So you get to see that, what you did, what you accomplished for the day, things like that are cool. And, it's just interesting that you get to do some big stuff or small stuff even. There's a lot of stuff that's small on jobs that you do that are still intricate and still apply to what you do that are cool. So, actually, I got another one. So that is another, and this is another thing of like, hey, this is something cool we did. This is just there's going to be a meter like in there where the white part is, and this is a bypass around. Just these are just things we do. We build these all the time for underground, and it's just what we do. I don't know how else to say it. When we can talk about financials or something like that, I think we could do, because financially, we don't make as much money as doctors or some of these big people that have degrees, but where they have a lot of debt when they start working. We don't have debt necessarily unless you went to a construction school, which personally I think is not a great idea, because these schools charge you money for your education and work you're going to be doing. You're better off just going to a company saying, hey, I want to learn how to do all this, and I'm looking to get a job, and I want to become a part of your company. They'll start you off at a low wage as a non-union, or if you want to go the union route, then you join the apprenticeship program, and they put you to work on job sites, and you learn on the job. A lot of the unions have training centers. One we have here for Local 3 is a 6-week introductory course. Basically, they teach you the basics of, the ultimate basics of running equipment, some mathematics and grade setting and stuff like that. But beyond that, it's you learn everything on the job by the people you're working with. Hopefully, you wind up working with some people that are willing to teach you. And that's one of the big things. All right. Clay, morning. Been watching your videos now for a while. I've wanted to get into heavy equipment since I got out of high school, but just haven't with life and family stuff. Dude, so just go to a union hall, ask them how to get in, start the paperwork. Because there's, if you're doing a union, I don't know, not sure where you live or anything like that, we can kind of evaluate what your process is based on the area you live in. So, that being said, is the usual process. You go in, sign up, you get on a waiting list. They will give you a test to take. It's a lot like the military. It's an ASVAB test, and it's just basically it gives them a baseline of what your thinking is. It's general knowledge of mathematics, general questions in life, and mechanic ability. So they have some pictures of gears. If this gear turns this way, which way is this gear going to turn? A lot of stuff like that. So once you take that test, depending on your score, that will place you in the waiting list. The higher you score on that test, the better off you'll be. And the mathematics are pretty basic. Just understanding grade setting is a big thing. So you're 23 and turned my application into the local last fall. Okay, had my interview a couple months ago. It's a slow process, but I'm excited and trying to learn all I can. Yeah, that's all you can do at this point is watch some videos. I mean, you watch my videos. There's some other guys out there. I don't know if Dirt Perfect is the best guy to watch, but he's got entertaining videos, not necessarily a training video type. There's another channel out there. The guy doesn't post on it anymore, but the videos he does have, let me see, it was Diesel and Iron. Brian Furnace, he's the guy that ran that channel. But he's got some excellent grade setting, like setting up lasers and things like that. He's got some excellent videos on that kind of stuff. So that's another one you can check out. That's pretty good to get started in learning what you're doing and just get some base knowledge. Because if you're getting into the operators, you're running heavy equipment. You need to learn things like maintenance on the equipment, your walk around, make sure your tires have air, make sure your tracks are adjusted to the right tension, oil level, water, making sure there's no bums sleeping under the machine or in the bucket or anything like that. Just belts are tight, hydraulic oil levels are proper, and making sure everything is greased. Depending on the company you work for, if you work for a small company, you're more than likely going to be greasing the rig yourself with one of these little pump things. So you'll have to make sure you grease your machine. What else? If you've got a lube guy with a big company that comes around, lubes everything, you got to make sure he checks the oil and stuff like that, depending on when he shows up. So when he shows up, you park the machine, shut it down. He can inspect the machine, but you want to inspect the machine yourself as well. Now, when you run a machine daily and you know the machine, some of those inspections will slack off. Our company has a app, HCSS, that they make us use. So it basically, let me see, how does this work? Yeah. So we can do inspections and stuff like that. So we throw up, add an inspection. So there's a cold iron inspection, on here. We'll tap that. It brings up a list of everything. Come on, focus. It's not going to focus. There you go. So you can see it's got equipment on there. It's got a whole bunch of other stuff. So they make us go through these every day, and just so that way we're digitally signing all these things, and you actually add yourself to it. You sign it, so that way it's actually tied. That inspection is tied to you. So if anything goes wrong with the machine, you can say, "Hey, I reported it on the app, and you guys didn't do anything about it." Typically, if there's something wrong with the machine, broken mirrors or something like that, if you report it on there and it directly reports to the mechanics, they're going to come out and fix it right away. Tran, hello, good morning. Welcome in. Talking about just construction life in general. Clay above you in the comments is trying to join the union as well. Clay's a bit older than you are. So I'm just getting to know Tran. I think you're still in high school, correct? Oh, one thing I did. I keep forgetting to turn on my music, my background music. I don't even remember which one I use. Does this even play? Okay, well, we'll let that play. Something in the background. So, life in general on these construction jobs. Okay, let's talk a little about money, finances. You guys' situation is a bit rougher than my situation was when I came up because housing was cheaper. It was easier to get into a house. It was easier to save a little bit of money, I guess you could say. And the amount of money that I was making was not much. I was making like $230, $240 a week as a first step, or even as a probationary apprentice. So I was making, I think, $7 or $8 an hour when I first started. This was back in 94, 95. And I got up and started making more money as I went through the steps. Eventually got up to journeyman, where I think at the time when I made journeyman was 98, 99, and might have been it was about 97, 98. I made journeyman and was making full scale, which was I think $21 an hour for a small bucket excavator. And then I was working for Peter Kiewit at the time, and I got to go work up in Yosemite, which was a cool job to work on. So when we talk about work life as an operator or in construction, sometimes you have to go to jobs that are way out of town. So Yosemite was about a 2.5 hour drive from home. I wasn't driving that every day. The company, Kiewit, had made a deal with a local KOA campground to give us a deal on monthly pricing. So it was $350 a month. I was making, I don't know, I think $500-600 a week at the time, maybe a little more. Might have to run the calculation on that. Let's see, we'll do some quick math here. Making, let's call it $21 an hour times 40 times 40 hours. Oh, right? Oh, we're doing this wrong. $21 times 8 hours times 40 hours. I don't like the way that thing. I was not making $6,000. So $168 a day. Now we times it by 40. No, we wouldn't do it by 40. It would be by 5 days. So $840 a week is what I was making roughly, and so that first paycheck paid for a month of rent at the KOA campground. I actually was on that job long enough that I started having my mail delivered to the KOA campground. So that way I didn't have to go home on weekends. My wife, I was freshly married. I had been married, I think when I started that job, I got married like 2 weeks before that job, and just went straight to that job site. Didn't take a honeymoon or anything like that. I really, at the time, I couldn't afford a honeymoon. Didn't own a house or anything. My wife had lived in a trailer park at the time, so I moved in with her, and she's a bit older than I am, so she was a little further ahead. She had been working as a laborer for other companies, and then so she would actually come up and stay with me in my trailer up in Yosemite, and have, she'd go do whatever during the day, go explore the campground or the park and stuff like that, and just enjoyed herself up there. And that's one of the things, is sometimes you have to live out of town on the site, or actually on the construction site itself. Some companies will actually build a campsite on the construction job because they know they're working out of time, and all their employees have to drive a long distance, or want to stay on the job site. They'll have some sort of system in place where you can get water, you can get have your sewage and everything in your trailer extracted, which is gross. The way they used to do it, at least on this one of the first jobs I actually bought a trailer for. I had a little 19-foot wilderness trailer, and if you've never used a trailer or been in a trailer to dump your sewage, there's a pipe that comes out, so there's a container inside underneath the belly of the trailer, and everything just goes into there. And there's a pipe, a black ABS pipe, about 4 inches. You hook a hose to it, and it goes to a dump when you go to a dump site. Well, if you don't have a dump site, the way they were doing it, they were using a 5-gallon bucket. They would hold it underneath that 4-inch pipe, open it, it'd spill into the 5-gallon bucket, and they would use the vacuum hose and stick it in there. And the guy would have to hold the bucket while all your mess was coming out, falling into the bucket, and he's vacuuming it out of that. And then as soon as it was done draining, he'd close the valve, go put his stuff away, clean up the bucket, and go to the next guy. And all that was paid for by the company. Normally, if you were to pay a sewage company to come out and collect your waste, it's like $110 to have them do that. So it was really cool to have that service provided to us. Most of the time, we had blue rooms that were on the site that we could use if it wasn't like an emergency or something, because I prefer to use those instead of using my toilet in my trailer. But the cool thing is you get to sleep in a little longer. You start early, so 6 a.m. starts. Depending on the job site, if you're around housing, it's 7 or 8 o'clock even. So you're in your trailer, you wake up, you make your breakfast, you've got time because you're used to waking up so early to drive places. Now you can make your food, coffee, whatever you need to get going in the morning. You step out of the trailer, go right to your machine, and go right to work. So, or go to your morning meeting. So it also adds, you become also kind of security on the job site for the company, keeping all the equipment safe and things like that. Barbecues, guys have barbecues on site, and I got toast. I'm hungry. You guys get to eat and watch it eat. Wow. Brain fart there. You get to watch me eat. Yeah. any other questions about construction, guys, just throw them in there. I'll answer them. If it's about money, life, having to deal with being married, family, because family life isn't always easy with construction workers. You see it all the time. Divorces, and a lot of things. I mean, even like military guys that come back from military service, they come back, find out their wife hasn't been faithful to them, hanging out with Jody, and you get the same thing in construction. You guys that travel a lot, and I lived in a trailer on job sites for 18 years. My wife was going to divorce me, and I was headed that route, and I told my boss, hey, I can't do this anymore. Went home, called the company a couple days later, said, hey, I can't work out of town anymore. I gotta be at home. Wife's tired of me not being around. So I made the decision to stay within driving distance. They accommodated me, and I think I told this story before, but it is meaningful that you have to keep these things in mind. That this is the way it goes, or these are the things you have to deal with in construction. Family life could suffer. I mean, if you've got kids, I know a lot of guys that have kids. I know Andy, my boss, my friend, he won't complain about me talking about this. So when he and I started working together, he had been divorced. This was 14 years ago. So he was kind of fresh, new, out being a single dad. He had won his boys in the divorce, and he was kind of making them a priority, but not 100%. And I had made a comment to him about it, and which kind of changed how we thought about the kids and all that stuff. And he started prioritizing them over work and over anything else. So his overtime, he quit. He wasn't eager to work overtime unless it was close to home. He became a wrestling coach to help, because that's what his kids were doing. Were getting into were wrestling. He spent all his time making sure that his boys were taken care of, that he was around for them. He had opportunities to move up as a foreman. He chose not to. He eventually became a foreman once his boys got older and were starting to graduate out of high school and moving on with their lives. So he now had time that he could start changing to put more effort into his work life. So he prioritized his family over prioritizing work, which I have a lot of respect for. Not a lot of people do that. Being a single parent, he did pick up a girl and wound up getting married a few years back. But he had this girl he was with for years and didn't want to marry her. I think he had hang-ups from the previous marriage, I believe. But he had asked me about it a couple of times with that. And this is another part of construction. Is you make lifelong friends in construction. If you're one of these guys that sticks with one company and you hang out with them a lot, you work with the same guys all the time. I've been working with Andy, I've got several guys that I've been working with for a long time. Seeing the guys move up from being laborers to being operators to being foremen. And it's cool to see that kind of stuff happen. It's really good to see guys progress and become better at what they do. Recently, we just had one of the foremen that's been with our company forever, just moved up to a superintendent role. And I've actually seen I've had two different foremen I've seen move up into superintendent roles. I'm eventually going to retire out, so it's my job to train the guys below me to try and get them up to speed to hopefully find a replacement for me. And that's the way construction is. I replaced an old guy. I'm turning into an old guy. Some young kids got to replace me, the old guy, when I retire out. And that's just the way of life. So, to me, you need to look up to those old guys, learn as much as you can from the old guys. And what I was told when I was an apprentice is take notes. Take lots of notes, mental notes. of when you're watching an operator work, regardless of whether he's good at what he's doing or bad at what he's doing, take a note on it, because if he's doing it wrong and you take a mental note of don't do that and you do it, then you messed up. Or you'll be in a situation going, what was that guy doing? Oh yeah, he was doing it this way and it was the wrong way, so I'm not going to do it that way. Now I got to figure out a different way to do it. And then if you have to, get off the machine, go over and talk to the older guy, say, hey, I'm having an issue with this, or call the foreman. He'll direct you on what he thinks is the best way for you to do it. And then you now have a direction to go in learning how to do that job. But most of the time, as an apprentice, they're going to throw you on a machine on the side, just see how you do, loader, compactor. If you're actually paying attention to what you do, even rollers. Rollers can be, they're boring as hell to do, but they do have their purpose and they do have their own little quirks on how to do things. Getting close to the edge of concrete without hitting the concrete. You got to lean off the side of the machine, so you're getting really close without touching the concrete, curb and gutter before they pave the asphalt down. And there's a ton of things that you got to really pay attention to. So if you guys got any more questions, I think it's just the two of you guys in here. So if you got any questions or anything further than what I've been yapping about, go for it while I have my food, which is cold now. So, I want to see. I have more pictures of work. No, that's a picture of me. Don't need to see more of those. So, okay. So here's a thing that has recently happened. Now, this is a picture of a job that I'm currently on. Let's get that moved over. Turn that on. Come on, there we are. So this is early morning. This is about 6:45 in the morning, maybe 7 o'clock. And you see sun's up, but you see grade setters doing their thing, a couple other excavators in the background. These are all Kobelco 350s. Now, you can see that this is a really slow, tight vertical, or not vertical, it's slope, with about a 2-foot vertical in the bottom. That's the pipe zone, and that's just the way we're digging this because we're not very deep. So safety isn't at the highest priority because this is all engineered backfill. The dirt company came in, excavated down like 4 feet, and recompacted all the material back in. So it's an engineered backfill. It's very stable ground. It's as close to a type material that you can get without it. Because it was engineered and touched and maneuvered and stuff like that, it made it better than the original ground. But because it was touched, it can't be considered a Class A, which means I could have done a vertical all the way to the top. There you go. The sun's out of the way. But you can see I used a V bucket, which is kind of a garbage V bucket, to dig through there. But new housing development. This is a school project surrounded by housing. So another company, Tykert, was doing all the surrounding stuff, housing and underground for all that. And now it's just the developers are coming in. There's just hundreds and hundreds of homes being built in this area. So I don't have a ton of pictures from that job because it's a school job, and the company and the school basically has not given me permission to make videos out there. So that is why I don't have any videos from that job site. I still have video to be done from the previous job site that I just haven't gotten around to doing. So you guys, Tran, you know what's happened in my life recently with my dad passing away and whatnot. So last week I didn't do a live broadcast, and I spent the day over at a friend's house. Had a couple of friends over. Everyone that knew my dad, we just kind of had a celebration of life thing, barbecue. Just hung out in the front yard and just had a barbecue and chatted, which was cool and relaxing. It was actually pretty good for my mental health. Now I don't even remember what I was after. I'll go back over here. Looking to see if I had any pictures of anything crazy. Alright, so I got a little picture. So this is an example. This is storm drain. It looks like sewer. It's the same pipe that gets used on sewer. It is a SDR24. It's a green pipe. It's storm drain. So you've got basically a little. This will be a drain inlet. So this is called a clean out. This is so it's a Y. This pipe down here is a Y. So this is a Y. There's another Y stacked here with a 4-inch pipe going out, and that'll go to a building. Same with this one. This one will go to another area drain. So this will be like a rainwater leader. There'll be a building up over here, but you know, dig down. You can see the engineered. This is the engineered backfill, and then down here is the native material that we're using. So as I dig it out, the non-engineered material gets mixed in with the engineered material and gets all thrown in, mixed in, and backfilled and compacted. So that's what it looks like when we put it in the ground, when it's just sitting there. See if I got anything else that I can show you. So here, ladders, lots of ladders. Our 644 loader, which is a John Deere loader. So we've got our little vibroplate whacker down in here. The guys will run this over the top of the bedding material underneath the pipe, then they'll lay the pipe on top of that, and then put more sand on top of it. So on this project, everything is getting sand. So another reason why I'm not really making videos at this time is we had a video incident from another crew on TikTok. A couple of yahoos had decided they'd be funny, and they used a stop sign or one of these no parking signs on the side of the road to do some pole dancing. And they videoed it, put it on TikTok, and it got like 1 million views. And the problem is that the company is actually in negotiations to... Why am I doing that? There we go. Get back to that. They're in negotiations to re-up a contract with a college. And so that, if the college sees videos like that of our workers doing dumb things in front of our foreman's truck with the logo in the background, and this is what the big mistake was, is that they did it in front of the company, in front of a company logo. The company logo is just plastered across the screen, and those guys got suspended without pay. Just a whole lot of bad stuff going on. So they're kind of on a lockdown for any kind of videos being made about the company or with company vehicles and stuff in the ground. Like so the negotiation I had with the company at the time with the field superintendent, which had actually talked to the owner of the company. They had a big meeting about me making videos and came down to an agreement of, as long as I blur out the logos I was okay to make videos, but I've been asked to slow down on those videos. So it's going to be a little bit before I produce another job site video, even though I have all the stuff. Yes, those guys made some bad decisions. And that happens. People make bad decisions in construction all the time. And not just the workers. Sometimes it's sometimes the guys in the office and project engineers. So you got project engineers, you got project P's, project engineers, project. God, I'm trying to think of all the different things. Because there's so many different people that are involved in what we do. It's especially with large, small company, far less people are involved in it because the company just doesn't have the people to do everything that we're doing. In the fields, the foreman picks up doing a lot of things, or the superintendent. It's they have very few projects, so the superintendent takes care of the project. I don't know. It's just a lot of people sticking their hands in the cookie pot, all trying to do the same thing, and things get mixed up. And then you got two cookies mixed together that aren't right. But in construction, that's just the way it is. It's just the way. It's just life in general and how we have to deal with things. I've got an idea for a video that I can do that's not going to have any company logos. I think it's going to be about plan reading. I think you guys would probably enjoy that. Show you a set of plans. I want to see if I can get a camera, an overhead camera or something that I can get a second webcam or something. Actually, you know what? I could actually use my other camera. Oh, that'd be awesome. Okay. Ideas spinning here. So I want to get a set of plans, lay them out. I'm going to record some video of the plans, how to read the plans, and how you execute how these plans are done. And it's an important thing to learn, especially if you want to do like a lead position digging or anything like that, or being on the ground, being a ground man, doing the grade setting for the operator. You need to be able to read plans. So I think that would be a good idea to let you guys at least see what a mess plans can be. Because sometimes the plans are bad and they update plans. So that's another thing is the phone that we have. My ground man, was granted access through that application, the HCSS application. It allows him to have access to digital plans that get updated on a regular basis, and which makes him angry sometimes because he'll be working off a set of plans, he'll make notes, and he'll do all kinds of stuff, but when a company re-uploads a new set of plans, it erases everything that he put in there for notes and drew his little drawings and stuff on there, so then you gotta start all over, and he gets all angry and mad and upset. And it's kind of funny to watch him get that way sometimes. Now, I don't know if there are videos about reading plans or something, but I'm sure there are. So, I mean, if you're eager to go see something like that, you can look that up. Some things around here. So another way you guys can get in contact with me in the evening when I'm not working, I have a Discord server. Let me see. I can actually throw this. So Discord you can actually put on your phone too. So I have it on my phone. So that's a link to my Discord. So if you guys have Discord, you guys can actually connect to me that way as well. I post stuff, so I do post things in there. I have a channel, so that Discord has multiple things. It's got general chat, some tech support stuff for because this was originally for my flight group that I do digital flying online. I also have a section for the Lever Monkey, which has links to videos, questions, pictures from job sites, things like that, just general stuff. So if you have questions for me, you can throw them in there. There's several ways you can contact me. Going through Facebook, I have the Lever Monkey Facebook page. You can contact me through there. Tran already does that. So, all right, there's not a whole lot going on here. I think, unless you guys got some questions for me or something, I'm gonna go. I've got some yard work I gotta take care of this morning. If you guys got nothing else for me, then I'm gonna sign off. So Clay, thanks for coming out. If you're still here, Tran as usual. I got a few people that aren't here, probably because I missed out my video last week. And I really didn't broadcast that I was having a live video this week, but we'll do it again. Try to keep the roll going for every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. Clay, what are some of the most interesting job sites you've been on or projects? Well, I think the one at Yosemite. So it's a national park. Basically, we widen the road 2 feet, and they had to blast rock off the side of the mountain face, and we were doing what's called a sliver fill. So if you can imagine, we're widening the road 2 feet on the side of the mountain, and sometimes some of the fills that were called sliver fills to make the road 2 feet wider, we would have to fill 100 feet of a slope and build it up and stabilize it to just make the road 2 feet wider. A lot of issues with that. Is that it's dangerous because of the slope, and a lot of big rocks that we were dealing with, rolling downhill, excavators. We basically had huge Volvo dump trucks just dumping these massive amounts of rock down the slopes, and the excavators having to get out of the way, catch the rocks and place them, and building it up. Some areas were short, some of the areas where we widened it were on the inside, close to the mountain, so they just blasted the rock off the side of the face of the mountain, loaded it up in trucks, sent it up to me. I was working at a crush plant with a big hammer on a hydraulic hammer. I was breaking the rocks down to 18 to 24 inch rock, and then used a 980 loader, huge loader, and dumped it into the crush plant to be crushed into DG, which we use for base rock or bedding for the road that we were expanding. So I mean, that was an interesting one. One when I was an apprentice. We turned a old quarry down in the Bay Area. We turned a quarry into a park for everyone, into the lakes. We sloped out all the walls. There were big vertical walls. There are 3 separate lakes in this quarry. So we sloped out the walls to make it safe, so nobody's just falling off the cliff, and put in a filtration system into the lakes, a huge filtration system, a natural one that would basically pull particulates out of the water to keep it clean. And that was cool. That was one of those jobs I lived on for I think 6 months while we were out there. I got to see scraper fall off a cliff and land upside down in the water. Guy had to be saved, so they had to flip, and then they hooked a whole bunch of equipment together to flip it upright and pull it out of the lake. That was interesting to see. There's a whole lot of things that I've seen and done that are really cool. Most of them are pretty repetitive, especially in the last, especially doing with the company I'm with now. We don't do a ton of really cool things. Slide rail is pretty cool, and I've done that 2 or 3 times with the company, and I just got informed this last week that the project I was on that I've been making videos on previously the bore pits that we're doing, we're using slide rail. We're going to build a slide rail system for that, for the micro tunnel that's going in over there, and that's going to be cool. So we'll have a receiving and sending pit for that. So I'll get some video footage of that. I don't know how long before you guys get to see it, but that's one of the things I like doing the slide. Slide rail is really technical to start and put in. I do have a series of videos on slide rail. If you go to my channel, after we're done here, you go to my channel and go to the playlist, and I have a section just for slide rails, I believe. So I could actually go check that out right now, see if I'm actually lying to you or not. Playlist and live stream blog, slide rail shoring. Yes, I have a whole section on slide rail shoring. We did a large slide rail project that was very wasn't real deep. I think we were like 19 or 20 feet deep, something like that. And then we did another small one. It was just for a single manhole, but it's because the ground was sand that we did, and we were next to a river. That one was required. So this next one, the situation that we're in, is we're going to be below the water table, and I'll be going out next week to actually do a test hole where we're going to be putting these in, just to evaluate where the groundwater is and what type of ground we're going to be dealing with. I've already got a really good idea because we did a test hole somewhere else on the project, so I've got a really good idea of what the issues are going to be. Slide rail shoring is going to be the best bet because it seals really well, and it's the most stable shoring that you can put in the ground for these situations. And the front and back end are usually open, and if you watch my slide rail videos on the larger system, you'll see that we use a locking system that overlaps and closes in the end of it, where you can either use plates or you can use these the smaller vertical beams that go in that help seal as well. They overlap a little bit and seal off the ground from falling in. Hey, Tran, don't feel bad about being late to the stream. I was late to start it. So you came in right after I started it anyways. Don't worry about that. And so Tran had sent me a message in on my Lever Monkey Facebook page. You're looking for pictures of that 500 SK 500. I don't think I have pictures directly of it, but I will see about when I get over there. I believe that machine's still sitting on that project. When I go over there, I'll see if I can get you a couple of pictures and send those to you. So other than that, guys, I think I'm going to call it, and I'm going to go do my yard work, do my chores while it's still cold outside, because we've been hitting temperatures up to 100 degrees out here, and that's just crappy. So I'll talk to you guys later. We'll see you next week. All right. My transition. Why? How do I turn this thing off again?